Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name is Johnny Jidoka. Today I wanted to sort of share my thoughts on a topic that is very relevant in the jiu-jitsu culture today. So I'll start with this. It seems like nowadays there's a lot of popularity in trying to make martial arts or jiu-jitsu, especially on social media, more profitable for people. And it's interesting because I've had discussions uh, with black belts, people who create content for jiu-jitsu, people who are just doing jiu-jitsu because it is a hobby for them. And I wanted to talk about this because I feel like people have a misunderstanding on the reality of like what your goal should be as a martial artist. Um, so for me, when I first started doing jujitsu, I didn't even know what jujitsu was. To be honest, I started because I was looking for some way to lose weight and feel more confident about myself. I was very overweight. I was really depressed, and I wanted to start working out and exercising. And when I first started, my goal was just to get confident, find more confidence in myself. I first started doing jiu-jitsu around 2014. I really struggled to be consistent because of incorrect medications. Just I was just not doing well mentally, not being able to afford it. But when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, even the 6 months that I did do jiu-jitsu back when I was 19, I realized that it was something I wanted to pursue. And in 2017, I tried going back and it didn't work out. And so when I would work out, I tried to push myself mentally to try to get to the point where I could feel like I could get in better shape for jiu-jitsu. So um, I start doing jiu-jitsu back in 2018 and I start doing it. I start getting a little bit better. I start, as a white belt, when you get your first submission, it's like, oh, it's a cool thing. And I got better. I got in better shape. I lost a lot of weight. And I just started to think about I wanted to compete. So I ended up competing. I've competed 16 times and I've never won. I've won matches before. Um, but as I've progressed in my journey now that I'm on purple belt, and I want to compete and do more things, I feel like at this point I want to start pursuing mixed martial arts. I feel like that's for me. That's what I want. There are people in our gym that really want to perform well and perform to the point where they can be a world champion. I'd be the IBJJF rule set and circuit, and they have the resources, they have the time, but I don't have that. I'm on Social Security. I get I get very limited check, and it limits how I want to express my ability to do jiu-jitsu. So for me, being able to um, do jiu-jitsu on my own terms and pursuing my own goals is really important. Um, I think it's very important, not necessarily when you start, because when you start doing jujitsu or martial arts, especially judo, Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, or jujitsu in particular, you're just doing it because maybe you have a goal in mind. Maybe you just want to get in shape. Maybe you want to get more confidence. Maybe you're bullied. Maybe you have mental health issues and you want to find community, whatever the case may be, right? And as you start doing it, you get better and better and better. And sometimes people get caught up in, well, I need to compete, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. Um, Unfortunately, there's not a lot of money in martial arts. If you talk about people who are UFC fighters, people who have uh, made it to the world stage, it's a very very unforgiving job. there's not a lot of money in it. I have one of my professors for our no gi classes. He used to be a professional MMA fighter. I'm gonna actually have a podcast with him on this channel. They'll be releasing next week, and he, I just asked him like what his opinion about like profitability in martial arts, and he said there's not really anything unless you are an established and a successful gym owner, and a lot of the success that comes from uh I guess martial arts people who are trying to make money, especially on social media, it's not because they're the best at this skill or this art. It's they're able to market themselves to whatever niche that likes what they make, and they're able to profit on that. I one of my friends, um, he has an Instagram, and he was brown belt adult nogi worlds silver medalist, which is an extremely prestigious thing to accomplish. But he would talk about like that doesn't mean anything in regards to like making money and being successful. So whether or not you are just like, and for me, I'm in a different situation than most people who do, like maybe you're a middle-aged person who has a family and has kids, has a job, and your goal is to just get a good workout, learn some self-defense skills, be a community. That's really what jiu-jitsu is about. I think that when people try to, not to say that being a competitor is wrong, or pursuing that line of thinking is wrong. It's just that we need to address what it is as a product. It's a way for people to help themselves, help other people, to get in shape and stuff. And I think when we force ourselves, or maybe it's forced upon us to compete and do this, and I mean, you should compete. It's a really good thing to do, but I'm gonna sort of be devil's advocate here, because like, look at this. Let's say you are you start jiu-jitsu as either a late elementary or early teen, right? And you have to pay dues, right? Dues can be anywhere from $150 to $300 or even more a month to do jiu-jitsu. And you pay that a month, and you start getting better, and then you want to compete, and that costs money. And then you want to buy gis, and you want to buy gear, and you want to buy this and this and that costs money. And then if you want to get more competitive, and not just doing local tournaments, doing major tournaments, that costs registration for the IBJJF. You're having to really focus on having that money available for travel, especially if you're doing like world tournaments at the IBJJF level. And it's a lot of money. Like, and it's interesting because if you look at it, right, if you become world champion, right, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, if that's what you can do and you have the resources and that's what you want to do and do it, that's great. But it's important to realize what you're actually doing. You're just spending a lot of money to do these tournaments. And maybe instead of doing something that's not giving you any profit besides the skill of jiu-jitsu, maybe you could be focusing on something like going to school, or you could be focused on developing a skill that's profitable for yourself. That's not also like in martial arts, you can get injured so many times. Like I've been injured like maybe twice in 11 years, and I'm really grateful that I haven't really been injured that much before. But if you look at UFC fighters, they or just people who are done martial MMA, they have medical bills they have to pay because of the stuff that happens to their body, and so I think it's really important that when you look at jiu-jitsu and you look at what it can do for you, it's important not to glorify it as a thing that can bring you some kind of enlightenment or maybe some kind of achievement high. We do it for the community and for what jiu-jitsu helps us with: mindfulness, fitness, discipline, growth, community, mentorship. That's what makes jiu-jitsu, not winning a, a who's number one, or winning some kind of thing, or I mean, and like I said, if you want to do that, that's fine, but that's like the 1% of people that do that, that have the resources, that have that time, they have that, you know, everyone else who does jujitsu, and you can say, oh well, they just suck at jujitsu, but at least they have a job, they are able to take care of their families, they're able to do this, and it's important to recognize at the end of the day, you're paying for this, you're paying for this service, and so whatever your goal for jujitsu is, it's important to reflect on it every now and then. It's like, you know, I think your goals change as, number one, you get older. Because I started this when I was 19. I'm now almost 31. Number two, it's important to know that your goals change from belt to belt if you're able to stick with it. At white belt, I just wanted to make it to blue belt, honestly, and do well. And from blue to purple, I had some things happen. I just wanted to not quit. But now that I've sort of gone over that hump at purple, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do whenever I get to the next level, is what's the direction that I want to go in when it comes to jiu-jitsu? Do I just want to be a purple belt, or do I want to be an instructor? What do I want to do? And I guess this is where I get a little personal, because it's like I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to my mental health with jiu-jitsu, and I'm starting to see that my meds are working now. We found meds that are working. We found these things that are effective for my mental health. During my 20s, I just did not know how to deal with any of the stuff I was dealing with. It was horrifying. And now that I'm 30, 31, I'm starting to, get past that hump, and I know how to deal with it, even when things are bad. So it's like, I would thought, it's like, well, I've done jujitsu, I've done judo. I want to start striking to defend myself, to be able to defend my family if it comes to a point where I need to use striking, not just grappling or throwing, to protect myself and my family. But I'm at this point now where I'm like, I don't really know what I want. I know that I want to do amateur MMA just because I want to, check that off my bucket list, because I know that will be a huge accomplishment. But at the same time, there's a certain part of me that wonders why I'm still doing this, why I'm still doing jiu-jitsu. And I'm having to reevaluate my goals. And I'm at the point, I remember, I was watching a video, and, Gordon Ryan, if you don't know who Gordon Ryan is, he's one of the most decorated no-gi athletes in jiu-jitsu. And I remember he was being interviewed, and the interview was like, you've done all these things, you've accomplished so much, what is your next step? And, Gordon Ryan is pretty well known for being arrogant and, having that kind of personality. But he said something that was very, very, very grounded and humble. He said, I just want to learn more, So I think when you have a goal in jiu-jitsu or martial arts, I think it's important to know that if your goals are grounded in something that is important to you, like a value system, right? Then that's going to keep you going. If you just try to do, all these things, you're probably going to burn out, because the thing is, most people are not world champions, you know? Most people will never get to that level. And most people who try to get to that level, who are trying super, super, super hard, they train hard, and then they get injured. And then they can't do jiu-jitsu for 9 months. And then they can't do it. Like you're probably not going to be a world champion. And that's completely okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's really important that people understand that. It's like, you don't have to be a world champion to have a successful experience with jiu-jitsu. You don't. You really, really don't. If you want to compete and you want to get better, that's awesome. But, you know, as I close this video, and I know I've been talking a while, reevaluate why you do this every now and then. Why do you do this? Why do you come to jiu-jitsu? Why is it that you're having a hard time in jiu-jitsu? Why is it that you're struggling with this one technique, or you're struggling with whatever your life is, you know, while you're doing jiu-jitsu? Like, you should know why you're doing what you're doing. And it's very, very healthy to just every now and then reevaluate. So I know that was a long sort of, I wouldn't say rant, but a lot of, you know, points that I hit. But the general point is this. If you're doing jiu-jitsu, like, you know, martial arts, focus on what's important to you in regards to what goals you have for your experience in jiu-jitsu. Don't focus on the noise and what TikTok or Instagram or all these famous people doing crazy things. Focus on what you want and what you need. And everyone's different. I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched my last video. It got over 200 views, which is amazing. I really appreciate people responding about my experience with psychosis and everything, and the distinguishing that from sociopathy and all that. So next week, I'm going to be doing a podcast with my no-gi professor from Revolution Dojo, JC Pennington. Look out for that. And I'm going to try to be making more videos, trying to improve the quality of the videos. I got a new camera, as you might have seen. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please comment if there's any kind of video you want me to do, whether it be jiu-jitsu, mental health, music, or anything. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Peace.